To Kill a Mockingbird, Chapter 5. So, I thought we should stop playing Boo Radley because Atticus had warned us not to. Jem said we should just change the names of the characters and then nobody would know. Dill agreed. By the way, Dill was being annoying. He'd asked me earlier in the summer to marry him. Then he promptly forgot about it. He said I was the only girl he would ever love, but then he ignored me. I beat him up twice, but it did no good. He kept becoming better friends with Jem. Since Dill and Jem were becoming so close, I was beginning to feel left out. So I spent some time becoming friendly with Miss Maudie Atkinson. Miss Maudie was a nice lady who lived across the street. She always let us play in her yard, but we had never really been close to her. Now, Maudie hated being indoors. She thought that time spent indoors was time wasted. She was a widow who worked in her garden, wearing an old straw hat and men's overalls. She was pretty cool. She was honest, treated us with respect, and did not like gossip. One day, I noticed that Miss Maudie had two minute gold prongs clipped to her eye teeth. When I admired them and hoped I would have some eventually, she said, "Look here." And with a click of her tongue, she thrust out her dentures. Cool. I was I think that was her way of letting me know she really considered me a friend. Miss Maudie made the best cakes in the neighborhood. She would yell, "Jem Finch, Scout Finch, Charles Baker Harris, come here." That meant she had baked some small cakes for us, and we went running. One evening, I asked, "Miss Maudie, do you think Boo Radley's still alive?" "His name's Arthur, and he's alive," she said. "Well, how do you know?" "What a morbid question. I know he's alive, Jean Louise, because I haven't seen anybody carrying out a body." "Jem said that maybe he died and they stuffed him up the chimney," I added. Miss Maudie said, "Tis, tis. Jim gets more like Jack Finch every day. They're both such wise guys." Jack Finch was my uncle, Atticus's brother, and Miss Maudie had known them since they were children. Miss Maudie had grown up near Finch's Landing and used to play with Jack. Uncle Jack visited our house every Christmas, and every Christmas he yelled across the street for Miss Maudie to come marry him. He was such a jokester. Miss Maudie would call back, "Call a little louder, Jack Finch, and they'll hear you at the post office." Miss Maudie continued her answer about Boo Radley. "Arthur Radley just stays in the house, that's all." "Wouldn't you want to stay in the house if you didn't want to come out?" "Yes'm, but I'd want to come out. Why doesn't he?" Miss Maudie explained that Mr. Radley was a foot washing Baptist, which means that he believes anything that's pleasure is a sin. She said that some of those Baptists even passed by her house once and told her that she and her flowers were going to hell. They thought that Miss Maudie spent too much time outdoors and not enough time inside the house reading the Bible. Miss Maudie said that these people were taking the Bible too literally. She said, "Sometimes the Bible in the hand of one man is worse than a bottle of whiskey in the hands of, someone like your father." She also said that there's just some kind of men who were both so busy worrying about the next world that they never learned to enjoy this one, like the Radleys. Miss Maudie said that all the stories about Boo were gossip from people like Stephanie Crawford, who was always in everybody's business. She said that she remembered Arthur as a really nice boy. The next day, I caught Jem and Dill planning something. Finally, they told me what it was. They were going to try and get a note to Boo Radley. They were going to put a note on the end of a fishing pole and stick it through the shutters. If anyone came along the street, Dill would ring a bell to warn Jem. Dill explained what the note said. "We're asking him real politely to come out sometimes and tell us what he does in there. We said we wouldn't hurt him and we'd buy him an ice cream." And I told Dill that he and Jem were crazy and that they would kill us. I was watching Jem try to get the note through the window when all of a sudden I heard Dill ringing his bell. I thought I would turn and see Boo Radley with bloody fangs. Instead, I saw Atticus's face. Uh-oh. When Atticus found out what we were trying to do, he told Jem to stop tormenting Arthur Radley. He continued on, saying that what Arthur did was his own business, not ours. If he wanted to come out, he would, and if he didn't, he had a right to stay inside without inquisitive children harassing him. He ended by saying that he didn't want to see us playing the asinine game he'd seen us playing or make fun of everybody else on this street or in this town. Jem said, "We weren't making fun of him, we were just." "So that was what you were doing, wasn't it? You were acting out the Radley's life story as I suspected," said Atticus accusingly. Jem got flustered and realized that Atticus had tricked him into admitting that the game that they had been playing was really us acting out the gossip we'd heard about the Radley family. When Atticus said, "You want to be a lawyer, don't you?" Jem realized that Atticus had used the oldest lawyer trick on him. Atticus pretended he knew we were playing Boo Radley when he only suspected it. And then Jem confessed without realizing. Chapter 6. On Dill's last night with us that summer, before he went back to Mississippi to start school, Dill noticed Mr. Avery on his front porch. Dill said, "Golly, look at yonder." At first we saw nothing, and then we saw an arc of water falling from the leaves, splashing into the yellow circle of the streetlight 10 feet away. Dill said, "Mr. Avery must drink a gallon a day." So I realized that Mr. Avery was peeing off his porch. And then Dill and Jem argued over which one of them could pee further. And of course, I felt left out again, being a girl and all. Later that night, Dill and Jem said they were going to peep the Radleys' window and see if they could get a look at Boo. They said if I didn't want to go with them, I could go straight home and keep my mouth shut about it. I said, "Jem, don't." Jem said, "Scout, I'm telling you for the last time, shut your trap or go home. I declare you are getting more like a girl every day." So I shut up and I joined them. We snuck under a barbed wire fence and through a creaky gate into the Radleys' yard. We had to be very quiet. I was so nervous. We gave Dill a boost up to look in the window, but he didn't see anything. So we went around back and Jem crept across the porch and peeked in a window. That's when I noticed the shadow. It was the shadow of a man with a hat on, and it was moving towards Jem. The moonlight was bright enough to make shadows at night. Dill noticed it too, and then Jem. We were petrified. The shadow stopped about a foot beyond Jem. Its arm came out from the side, dropped, and was still. Then it turned and moved back across Jem, walking along the porch and off to the side of the house, returning as it had come. We all made a run for it. We ran to the gate, and as we ran through the collards, I tripped. Then I heard a roar of a shotgun. We all scurried toward the barbed wire fence, but Jem got caught as he tried to go under. His pants were caught, and he couldn't get them free. So he kicked off his pants and started running in his underwear. After resting a minute, we realized that because of the noise of the shotgun, the whole neighborhood was standing around the Radleys' front yard to see what was going on. We realized that we had better show up, or else people might realize it was us sneaking around in the yard. When we got there, we saw Mr. Nathan Radley, Boo's older brother, standing with a shotgun by his side. Atticus was there, and Miss Maudie, and Miss Stephanie Crawford, Miss Rachel, Dill's aunt, and Mr. Avery. "What happened?" asked Jem, as if he didn't know. Miss Maudie replied, "Mr. Radley says he's shot at a Negro in his collar patch." Did he hit him?" "No," said Miss Stephanie. "Shot in the air. Scared and pale, though. It says if anybody's seen a white person running around." I don't like using the N-word, although it was appropriate for the time. Never really appropriate, but it was a common term use at the time. I'm going to substitute it with Negro for the sake of not being so, insulting. So says if anybody sees a white Negro running around, that's the one. Says he's got another bullet waiting for the next sound he hears in that patch. And next time he won't be high, aim high, be it a dog, a Negro, or Jem Finch, said Miss Stephanie, just noticing Jem standing there without any pants on. "Yes, ma'am?" asked Jem. Atticus spoke. "Where are your pants, son?" Dill spoke up quickly. He thought of a good excuse so nobody would suspect it was really us in the Radleys' yard. He told everyone that he won Jem's pants from him in a game of strip poker. Jem and I relaxed, thinking this was a good excuse. But Miss Rachel, Dill's aunt, was very upset. She didn't think we should be playing poker. Gambling was a bad thing. But if we said we were only betting with matches, not real money. So they calmed down a little bit. Sure, matches were dangerous, but gambling was really dangerous, especially in a Southern Baptist town. Kids shouldn't be gambling. It is kind of ironic that they were more concerned about us playing cards than playing with matches. But in the middle of the night, Jim had to sneak out and go back and get his pants, which were still stuck in the Radley's fence. If he didn't get the pants back, Atticus would know that Dill's strip poker excuse wasn't true. He didn't want Atticus to find out what he had done because he knew Atticus would be very disappointed in him. Jim said we shouldn't have gone to the Radley place like that. It was wrong. I was scared to let Jim go back there alone in the middle of the night, but he went anyway. I stayed up and listened to him for a while. And he came in, or after a while, he came back and crept into bed real quiet. Thank goodness.